halfway mark of our company here, Mitali and Pradeep. We will very quickly listen to the opening remarks by Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, which gives us a breather also to put our thoughts in a row. And Mitali, I'll come back to you with some economics intricate questions, because it's not just economy, but also, as many are saying, feminism also at play here in US elections. Very quickly, listen into the opening remarks by Donald Trump and Kamala Harris from their last and the only presidential debate that happened.
Your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid. And I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing. And the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year, because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that Xi and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us
Right. There we heard both Trump and Harris almost a month longer, old opening remarks, Yogesh, but still holds ground. Mitali, I was meaning to come to you first here. But this was the same debate that made headlines for all the good or bad reasons. When Trump said that they are eating our dogs, they are eating our cats, and it was a meme fest that started it all. But Kamala Harris had a very poised standing there. She spoke about, bringing back the economy on track. And when we talk about economy, countries like India play a very significant role here because of the sheer market that India provides, and not only as a consumer, but also as a supplier of raw materials to United States and other parts. What are the outstanding issues between India and United States that you think should be ironed out, irrespective of whether it's a Republican or a Democrat holding the Oval Office?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks, Pankaj. I think, playing out those visuals just gives us a little bit of context. I mean, you also touched on feminism, so I just want to take like a minute to, talk about the importance of having women in
Yes,
leadership and politics. It's not about just Kamala Harris, but it's also about looking at how the US is
absolutely.
still not ready. It's still not ready to have a woman as a president in many ways because, I mean, amongst the major economies of the world, the US is the only country which has not had a woman president. The US is the only country that does not have legal maternity leave. Women are not entitled to any maternity leave whatsoever, and especially not paid maternity leave in any way. And I think a lot of the points that Kamala Harris has also made about abortion, while they might be considered controversial in the US, are just considered usual
Yes.
and normal even in countries like India, where we have actually got a very clear rules based abortion regime which actually favors even single women who are seeking abortion. And, it is taken as a women's right over their bodies. And we've never had, those kind of debates in many emerging economies about, this very largely, very, very, old interpretation of abortion. So I think, it's very important to have candidates, not only Kamala Harris, but many candidates to come out and support women's issues. And these are not women's issues, actually. These are issues which affect all families. The right to have affordable childcare is something that the Indian government, for example, is taking very seriously. And, I'm advising the Ministry of Women currently on this issue of having more and more affordable childcare in India because we are seeing what's happening around the world with the absence of childcare. And the kind of falling population, rates and fertility rates that we are seeing because the onus of child rearing cannot fall only on women. So I think, with Kamala Harris raising these issues, it elevates these issues to mainstream and it starts to, these are issues which affect all families. They affect men and women equally. And I think this is something that's very important that she's doing. But on your question of like what are some of the issues we need to resolve, I think more than
Right.
issues that we need to resolve, it's about the future direction of this partnership. Because we cannot always be a service provider to the US. India
Right.
has aspirations to become a leader, a global leader in the areas of technology, for example. And we definitely need more and more mentoring from tech leaders in the US. Our startup founders, our tech founders need that mentoring from not only the American community, but as Pankaj said, from the IITians who are setting up these companies in the US. We need to have those supply chains tracing back to India, not only as a supplier, but an equal partner. Second is on renewable energy, we really need to work more and we need to have more and more innovation.
Right.
Now, India is partnering with countries like Israel on, say, for example, water saving technology and technology for desalination. And these are areas that we need US support in also if we have to work together with countries like Israel, which find themselves, geopolitically ring fenced in that sense at the moment, but have the technology that we need. And even on wind energy and solar energy, we need to work together with US because China has such a large part of the solar energy market that having innovation and partnerships with the US can really take India on the leadership for solar energy as well. And then even on electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles, just a few weeks ago my friends were in San Francisco and they actually took self-driven taxis. Now that is something which, of course, it's a dream to think about a self-driven car in India, but at least we can think about, more and more innovation on green hydrogen, electric vehicles, and that can really be driven from the US, to India and taking India as a partner in this endeavor, not just a supplier or not just a market. So I think that is really where we want to see the future direction going. And of course, visas is an
Right.
important issue. Student visas is a very important issue. Jobs for students after they go and invest 4 years or 5 years in their education in the US, and they need to earn it back. And jobs for those students is a very important issue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mitali and Nikore Associates is what you are the founder for, and you're an economist also. And trust me, we really appreciate your inputs here, not just as an economist, but also as a woman.
Don't miss out. Log on to oneindia.com for more updates.